Hello everyone. We all watch television and we must have heard of this tagline at some point in our television watching history. Zindagi ke saath bhi and zindagi ke baad bhi. Yes, I'm talking about LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India, which does not need any introduction, and it is in hype recently because of the biggest IPO which is going to be launched in Indian history, which is assumed to be the biggest uh, IPO that is going to be launched in Indian history. And I just wanted to do a business analysis of LIC before the IPO launches to make it very clear for the users of this video so that they do not have to, even if they do not have technical capabilities, they can have an idea about it before they try to invest in it. So this is just a little effort from my side. I have gathered a lot of information from various sources, reliable sources, and tried to make the information as crisp as possible to save on a lot of time of all of you. And I've just tried to summarize it. I'll be explaining each point in my own way so that it is easily understood by all of you. So let's begin. So as I already mentioned, that it is the biggest ever IPO in Indian history, and the second point says that LIC was formed in 1956. What happened was that around 245 LIC companies, normal LIC companies, they merged and nationalized to give birth to LIC, the Life Insurance Corporation of India. But then slowly after 1956, as we entered the 2000 era, the LIC started to lose its market share because there were a lot of private players, also the private insurance companies, which tried to step into this domain. So that is why LIC started to lose its market share. Next comes then the embedded value of LIC is around 5.39 lakh crores. What do I mean by embedded value? This is a term which a lot of you would not have heard. So embedded value is nothing but the future as per analysis or whatever, merging all the analysis that have been performed by experts, the projections of profits that has been made for LIC, it is the present value as on date. The present value of all the profits that LIC is going to earn in the future today stands at 5.39 lakh crores. So embedded value is basically the concept is all about that. Next, what used to happen earlier was before this IPO, I mean, what is happening recently is that 95% profits that LIC used to earn was distributed to the policy holders, the people who are holding the policy, and 5% was distributed to the promoters and government who had the stake in LIC, right? Now, after the prospectus that has been filed, what could be summed up is that this 95% has been reduced to 90% to the, which will be distributed to the policy holders. And now, since it is going to be a public limited company after the IPO, the 10% remaining would be distributed to the shareholders. So the stake to the other shareholders has been increased. So this is something which is to be noted if you want to perform an analysis on LIC. Next, LIC ranks fifth all over the world, not just India, in terms of gross written premium. Now, what is gross written premium? We all know what premium LIC might be earning. Like the policy holders, they pay the premium. So this premium is earned by LIC. So this premium amount, there's a term called gross written premium, which is the total premium earned by LIC without considering the effects of reinsurance. Now, reinsurance is something which, if you all do not know, is insurance companies can also take insurance from other insurance companies. So this is the concept of reinsurance. So I was just trying to explain gross written premium. Next, LIC has the 10th largest assets under management. As you can see on the screen, it has around 39.55 lakh crores assets under management. The term AUM stands for assets under management, which LIC is managing. And if you make a calculation of all the companies' market cap that are being listed on the National Stock Exchange, NSE, this amount is 4% of that amount. So you can obviously imagine how big this IPO is, and that is why I call it the biggest ever IPO in India, and not just me, but everybody does. So, and out of this 39.55 lakh crores, around 37% LIC has invested in government securities that can be both national and state government, and the rest has been invested in equities. Like LIC also holds shares of companies. So obviously they have to make investments. So they are holding around 25% of roughly around 40 lakh crores, which is around 10 lakh crores in shares of other companies. So this is something which can be noted. And now what is a matter of concern, which I found is that 95% of the business of LIC comes from agents. So it is completely an agent dependent business. And I feel the digital presence needs to be established by LIC if it wants to sustain in the business of insurance, given the fact that there is a presence of a lot of private players now. So my take is that the digital presence of LIC needs to be increased. And why do I say that 95% of the business comes from agent is because around 13.5 lakh agents are there, if you make a rough note of it through the sources that we have. And if you analyze the financial statements of LIC, then commission paid to these agents, these 13.5 lakh agents, stands at around 22,358 crores, which is 22,358 crores. You are already aware of how big a figure 1 crore is, and multiply it 22,358 times, so you'll get this figure. So you can imagine how much this is dependent on the agency business, and that is why I feel there is a need to establish the digital presence to sustain in the long run. Next, coming to a trend analysis from 2000. So let's just divide the discussion into two types of policies: the individual policies and the group policies. So if you make a trend analysis from a time series analysis from 2016 to 2022, the market share of LIC has decreased from 56% to 44%, 12 round decrease of 12% in these 6 years, which is roughly around 2% average, whatever you want to calculate it, if you do not assume the CAGR, component annual growth rate component. But roughly, let's just assume this with the simple calculations. And for group policies, the marginal decrease has been less. It has been 81% to 77%. So decrease of 4% compared to the huge decrease of 12% in case of individual policies. So group policies, LIC still has a hold, but still, since there's a decrement, it needs to be controlled. But individual policies are the ones which LIC needs to focus on. Again, the digital presence would have to make a difference in this regard. Now, these are the major points which I found were relevant to make the business analysis after going through all the reliable sources. So I just tried to sum it up. And now, what is my take regarding the analysis that I have made out of all these points is, I was trying to study a lot of analysis that were performed by experts. I tried to collate all of them. And what I saw was that the private players that are there in the insurance business, around 15 to 20% of, what I'm trying to say is the private players are assumed to grow the policy amounts, that the premiums that they are going to earn, they are assumed to grow by around 15 to 20% in the long run. But for LIC, the same projected growth rate stands at 10 to 11%. So it is a less growth rate. But also you cannot just compare, because the assets under management or whatever the amounts that LIC has in its financials, they are much higher compared to the other private players. But obviously, since if you have to make a general comparison, since percentage is a generalized calculation, so 10 to 11% is something which is less than the growth rate projected for the private players. So it needs to be worked upon, and to ensure that LIC works well in the future. Also, I feel, I mean, this is not confirmed or mentioned anywhere, but I feel, what is my take is, government will reduce their stake in LIC so that more investors can enter, and so therefore there will be capital shifts and whatever way you want to think upon it. But I feel that government will reduce stake, and people would want to, a lot of more people would get the opportunity to invest in LIC. So this is a lucrative opportunity. This is not something confirmed, which this is my take on it. And as for the discussions that I had earlier, the analysis that I performed, I feel that there could be a lag in competing with the private players, given the fact with the masses of the private players that are currently there present in the market. But this is something which, given the fact, the characteristics of LIC as a business, can be fixed. But it goes without saying that efforts have to be put into it. And therefore, as an investor, you need to keep the following considerations when you're trying to invest in LIC. So I feel this video could be helpful for the investors who do not want a lot of time to go through a lot of points and try to make decisions based on their analysis. I just tried to sum up the main points so that you can decide and invest accordingly. So thank you very much for sticking till the end of the video. I hope all of you are keeping well. Bye-bye.